The following program, Norml Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, Norml.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of Norml Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of Norml. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to think and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents Norml Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, Norml's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good afternoon, tokers and tokettes, and welcome. It is Friday, December 9th, 2011, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Welcome to Casual Friday. We're repping Georgia Norml today. Get a hold of them at georgianorml.org, or is it Georgia_Norml? It's one of them. Look it up on our website, norml.org/chapters. You can find all of them out there. You want to get involved at the local level, a local Norml chapter is the place to do it. Check it out, norml.org/chapters. All sorts of stuff to get to in today's show. First of all, Terry Franklin, we had him on the show a little while ago. He's from the Freedom Bus Caravan at freedombuscaravan.org. Wanted to tell us, he wanted to warn us that Newt is coming. That's right, Newt is coming. Newt Gingrich, the hideous drug warrior and surging presidential candidate, will be coming to New Hampshire on Monday, December 12th. So the Freedom Bus Caravan is going to call for a rally outside his 4 o'clock appearance at the St. Anselm's College in Manchester. Everyone is encouraged to arrive by 3 p.m. So get there by 3. Monday, December 12th, St. Anselm's College in Manchester. For more information, check out freedombuscaravan.org. Yes, that's that spooky Newt music. Bring signs, end prohibition. Prohibition is a hate crime. Legalize marijuana, or make some strong satirical comment on Newt himself. I'm giggling here because I'm reading this from the script on freedombuscaravan.org, and for satiric, they spelled it SATYRIC, which, considering Newt Gingrich, is actually kind of damn funny. All right. Let's go to the show today. On today's show, we got all sorts of great stuff coming up in the news. We've got Representative Jared Polis from Colorado, one of our best supporters in Congress, grilling Attorney General Eric Holder on the medical marijuana crackdown. A man in Texas facing life for a half ounce of medical marijuana. Pinellas County, Florida, staking out a hydroponic shop. New Mexico's medical marijuana program is doing great. And a look at how the crackdown in California is causing a price rise at the wholesale level in the Northern California growing regions. Coming up at 20 after, we got Herb Thrasher for our Rockin' Friday. He's bringing us back The Sword. We're going to play some video from The Sword. That's in preparation for tonight's Norml Rocks with Herb Thrasher. We're going to be showing his interview with The Sword on their tour bus, and a tribute to Dimebag Darrell. Steve Caprio, Ominous Words from High Times Magazine. He's their featured artist of the month. He'll be with us at 5:30, and we got some new music from Steve. And David Bienenstock, the West Coast editor of High Times, will be joining us to tell us about the High Times Magazine and the upcoming Los Angeles Medical Cannabis Cup in February, which yours truly will be streaming and performing at. So check it out. This is Norml Show Live. We're back right after this.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Weedmaps.com. I'm Radical Russ from Norml. In my job as outreach coordinator, I travel every month, and when I'm on the road, I need a fast, accurate way to find the medical marijuana dispensaries in the area. So I turn to Weedmaps.com. Weedmaps.com has the best dispensary locator online or on your mobile device. Search by zip code or let Weedmaps find you, and in seconds you'll have the addresses, phone numbers, and customer service reviews for the medical marijuana dispensaries in the local area. Weedmaps.com also has a section devoted to helping you find a doctor who understands and recommends medical marijuana under your state's law. You can even check prices on the Medical Marijuana Stock Exchange. Coming soon, you'll even be able to find the listings of Norml attorneys and chapters, local head shops and grow shops, and the best weed-friendly businesses. Weedmaps.com has the information you need to be an informed cannabis consumer. Visit Weedmaps.com today, a proud sponsor of the Norml Network.
Inhaling deeply of the sacred smoke.
You're listening to Norml's Daily Audio Stash.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that gives us these precious rights. Treat law enforcement with respect, and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's Norml News with Cannabis Carey.
Cannabis Carey is on vacation this week. I'm Radical Russ with your Norml News. We've been bringing you stories of the federal government's crackdown on medical marijuana on various fronts. The IRS going after 280E violations for Harborside. The ATF telling us that we don't have any gun rights, telling the gun dealers that we don't have gun rights as medical marijuana patients. We've got the Department of Treasury threatening banks if they do business with medical marijuana outlets. And of course, the consistent raids that we get from the Drug Enforcement Administration. Well, one of our strongest champions in the United States Congress is U.S. Representative Jared Polis. He's a Democrat out of Colorado. And recently, Attorney General Eric Holder was summoned to appear before his committee. And Representative Polis managed to get in a good, actually, I don't even think Representative Polis is a member of the Judiciary Committee. But seeing as this was a medical marijuana issue, he was granted time by the chairman to be able to ask some questions. And we've got that now from C-SPAN 3. So we're going to go over to our video here, and you can check this out. Representative Jared Polis questioning Attorney General Eric Holder.
The issues surrounding the regulation of medical marijuana. I wanted to first clarify that there's a memo dated October 19, 2009 from David Ogden. I'm sure you're familiar with that memo. The contents of that memo as advisory to the states is still in force. Is that correct? That is still a current memo?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And one of the issues that was later clarified in a memo by James Cole is what we're talking about when we're talking about caregivers, who your memo instructs should not be an enforcement priority. The Colorado Constitution in Article 14 happens to have a definition of caregiver. It's further refined in our Colorado statutes. And I wanted to see whether I can get your assurance that our definition of caregiver in our state's Constitution will be given some deference by the U.S. Attorney General's office.
I'm not familiar with the provision, but what we said in the memo we still intend, which is that given the limited resources that we have, and if there are states that have medical marijuana provisions, and if you take into account the Cole memo, if in fact people are not using the policy decision that we have made to use marijuana in a way that's not consistent with the state statute, we will not use our limited resources in that way. And so
Sure.
I don't know if I assume that I just don't know about that provision.
And again, yeah, in the case of Colorado, we do have definitions of some of the terms in your documents in our Constitution, and I would hope that the U.S. Attorney General for the state would look at that. Now, as you know, the Department of Justice that recently announced a crackdown in California. Now, part of the issue there, it's my understanding, they did not have a functional state-level regulatory authority. Colorado does have an extensive state regulatory and licensing system for medical marijuana, and I'd like to ask whether our state regulation, our thoughtful state regulation passed with strong bipartisan majorities in both chambers of our legislature, provide any additional protection to Colorado from federal intervention.
Well, again, I'm not familiar with it, but I'd have to look at it. But again, our thought was that where a state has taken a position as it passed a law and people are acting in conformity with the law, not abusing the law, but acting in conformity with it, and again, given our limited resources, that would not be an enforcement priority for the Justice Department.
Thank you. I'm grateful for that clarification. One of the issues that many of the legal, regulated medical marijuana shops and dispensaries in Colorado have brought to my attention is their inability to open bank accounts at most FDIC institutions. That makes the industry harder for the state to track, to tax, to regulate. And in fact, makes it prone to robberies because it becomes a cash business as well. Is there any intention of the Department of Justice to prosecute bankers for doing business, licensed and regulated medical marijuana providers in the states?
Again, I would think that consistent with the notion that how we use our limited resources, again, if the bankers, the people seeking to make the deposits, are acting in conformity with state law, that would not, again, be an enforcement priority for DOJ, for the Justice Department.
Thank you.
Now, we've heard these kind of promises before from Attorney General Holder, and it seems like the people below him at the U.S. Attorney's Office and in these different federal bureaus have their own mind about what they're doing. So we're hoping here that Attorney General Holder makes this clear to the U.S. attorneys working below. And I always check for weasel words when we hear politicians talk, and he always keeps saying not an enforcement priority. Well, just remember that means it's still a priority. It may not be a high priority, but it still exists as a priority to the Department of Justice. I'm also troubled by the fact that the Attorney General of the United States, in a situation where they are trying so desperately to crack down on medical marijuana, doesn't really know what's going on in Colorado. He hasn't looked that up yet. I mean, of all the 16 medical marijuana states there are, I would say California's number 1 on the radar and Colorado's number 2. It gives you some idea about how much in depth these people really care about what the states are doing other than California when it comes to medical marijuana. Facing life in prison for half an ounce of medical marijuana. This from Alex Webb on the Phoenix Cannabis Culture Examiner. 20-year-old Chris Diaz is an asthma sufferer from Texas. After learning medical marijuana was a successful treatment for asthma, he headed to California seeking medical treatment. Diaz was approved for medical marijuana in California for his serious condition, so he stocked up on what he could afford and headed back to his hometown in Texas. He was pulled over on a Texas highway for having an expired license tag, a routine traffic stop. But when Diaz wasn't able to produce a driver's license or proof of insurance, this alerted the police officer. Already in custody for a criminal offense, the officer began to search Diaz's car. They found 14 grams of medical marijuana and hashish. Medical marijuana is not legal in Texas, nor do they recognize medical cannabis cards from other states. Under Texas law, marijuana possession of less than 2 ounces is a Class B misdemeanor that is punishable with fines and up to 6 months in jail. But the hash is a totally different story. Possession of hashish is a Class 2 felony, punishable by up to 20 years, including fines if less than 4 grams. Diaz can only wish he was so lucky. He is charged with possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver. A half ounce must be big time in Texas. Diaz was indicted by a Brown County grand jury, and now he faces up to life in prison, and without his much-needed medication, of course. He is now in jail on a $40,000 bond awaiting trial. It's just a shame that he wasn't caught with some of that special Sierra Blanca mystery disappearing Willie Nelson weed, isn't it? From TampaBay.com, Rita Farlow, one of the Rita Farlow reports a Pinellas hydroponic garden shop has the attention of deputies searching for marijuana growers. Largo, Florida. Last fall, a white Chevy truck pulled into the parking lot of a hydroponic gardening shop on Ulmerton Road. A man went in, purchased some supplies, and drove off. Someone was watching. Detectives with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, via a camera mounted on a pole nearby, recorded the Chevy's license plate number, checked motor vehicle records to identify the owner, and soon showed up at his home in Seminole. Alan Underwood is under Alan Underwood is one of dozens under investigation by deputies over the past 2 years on suspicion of cultivating marijuana. A part-time handyman with only a misdemeanor driving infraction on his record, Underwood made his way onto detectives' radar for one reason. He shopped at Simply Hydroponics. Now, in response to this story, Daniel Ruth is a Times columnist for the St. Petersburg Times, and he has written an amazing op-ed on this called Sheriff's Office Operation Half-Baked. Holy smoke! No pun intended, more or less. From the looks of this caper, you would have thought the Pinellas County Sheriff's gendarmes were hot on the trail of Pablo Escobar meets Asia's Golden Triangle. High-tech surveillance, raids, gumshoes aplenty. Cue the Dragnet theme, or perhaps the Andy Griffith Show ditty. Last fall, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office used its considerable crime-fighting resources to extend the long arm of the law to crack down on hydroponic marijuana growers. In fact, the operation managed to track down and capture at least one plant. Not only was the Mary Jane read its Miranda rights, but the whole Earth catalog, too. What could we call this intensive investigation? Operation Cheech and Chong? While the mean streets of the county have no shortage of villains engaged in villainy, the Sheriff's Office decided to launch Operations Dave's Not Here by mounting a camera across the street from Simply Hydroponics on Ulmerton Road in Largo to record the license plate numbers of customers patronizing this perfectly legal business. Applying Sherlock Holmesian logic, the sleuths deduced that people buying stuff from Simply Hydroponics just might be using the wares of the perfectly legal establishment for the nefarious purposes of also growing loco weed, and the chase was on. Well, it didn't take long for the coppers scouring the video of people going in and out of Simply Hydroponics to identify 39 potential doobie desperados. Perhaps it was the tie-dyed shirts that gave them away. Or perhaps they were driving the 1967 Volkswagen Campers with Jerry Garcia for President bumper stickers. Or maybe their next stop after shopping at the store was to buy brownie mix. The Elliot Nesses of Hash tightened the noose on by inspecting the suspects' electricity usage and monitoring their homes to see if there were any humming motors or telltale signs of blacked-out windows. The Inspector Clouseaus of cannabis also spent time hanging around the resident's property, trying to smell wafts of wacky weed in the air. Apparently, it has become a useful employment skill at the Sheriff's Office to have bloodhound-like olfactory skills. Installing a camera across the street from a perfectly legal business to snoop on its lawful customers, invading the privacy of citizens to peruse their electric bills, lurking around private property, sniffing the air without a search warrant, all in pursuit of a handful of folks who might be growing some pot in their homes. It hardly rises to the level of Mexican drug lords smuggling tons of the stuff across the border. Sheesh, the subprime mortgage scandal wasn't this thoroughly investigated. News coming in from KQED in California and California Watch. A crackdown by federal prosecutors is casting a long shadow over the state's marijuana industry. But there is one bright spot, at least for some Northern California growers willing to risk prison time. Wholesale prices appear to be on the rise. After slumping precipitously, prices for a pound of high-grade outdoor-grown marijuana are stabilizing and in some areas are up between 20 and 40%, according to interviews with growers, law enforcement agents, and analysts. In recent years, California's booming medical marijuana industry attracted a rush of new players who harvested increasingly large amounts of pot for storefront dispensaries and the black market. Some longtime operators responded by also growing big. Surging production pushed down prices for some strains to less than $1,000 per pound. This led more growers to illegally ship their marijuana out of state, where they can double or triple their profits. But this year, production levels have dropped, in part because of rainy weather and a bumper crop of mold, said medical marijuana grower and activist Charlie Custer. It was a perfect storm, he said. But it wasn't just the weather. Stepped-up enforcement actions by local and federal law enforcement led some growers to lay low and reduce their plant counts to double digits. Some growers decided to keep it small this year, said Dale Geringer, state director of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. With marijuana supplies under pressure, prices responded as they would with any other commodity. Since the fall harvest, Northern California growers have seen prices jump to between $2,000 and $2,500 per pound for good quality marijuana, according to Kemp. Law enforcement agencies say it's too early to get a clear read on this year's harvest, but data collected by local law enforcement and a federally funded drug task force indicate street prices have nearly doubled in some parts of the state. Yeah, it's such a shame, how the price could plummet here if we were to just legalize marijuana. Dale Geringer estimates it would cost wholesale $1 to $2 an ounce to harvest and process outdoor grown marijuana from California. All right, folks, we got to take a break. We'll cover the New Mexico story in our hour 2 and take your calls at 971-533-7111. When we come back, it's Herb Thrasher.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support Norml Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would send you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Alternative Medical Choices offers healthcare the way it should be. Easy to access, patient-centered, team-based, and quality-focused. We offer a variety of natural, affordable healthcare treatment options like primary care, group acupuncture, massage, and assistance with OMP registration. As a patient, you will have a team of experts working with you to make you the best you can be. Call Alternative Medical Choices at 503-288-5579 or check us out on the web at altmedchoices.com.
Remember, friends, there's more to life than marijuana. I just can't remember what it is. Why'd I come in?
Tokers, there's no good reason to get your dog stoned. While it might not harm them physically, imagine being a dog who already begs for treats all day, and then imagine that dog having the munchies. Not cool.
When I was in England, I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it. And didn't inhale, and never tried it again.
I think you'd probably be a lot cooler if you had, Mr. President.
Said, hey, do you have it going, kids? Sure would be a lot cooler if you did. Lie to don't hide it. Lie to don't hide it. Oh, lie to don't hide it. Lie to don't hide it. Just lie to don't hide it. Fire up right now.
It's time for your daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420 friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Today, we take you into the weekend with Rockin' Friday. Our segment features the best of rock, metal, punk, and jam band music. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on Norml Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org. Now here's some more great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tune.
Well, it's been a while, but now we get to get back on the air with Herb Thrasher, who's representing Alabama and going to be enjoying that national championship game, aren't you?
That's right, man. We're real excited to have been the choice, as it seems. I guess no one looks at our number 2 ranking. Everyone thinks we were just thrown into this game. So, yeah, if that's how it is, then we're excited to be there.
That's right. College football, where every game counts unless you're in the SEC.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think there's another sport out there that's worse than college football right now, and that's the NBA, man. Those dudes are messed up. They have got that sport just so messed up, they don't even know how to make a trade anymore.
I know, what the hell is going on with that? But, we did get that news that they're not going to be drug testing for marijuana in the offseason in the NBA anymore.
Well, see, now they have always let the good... You know what? The NBAers have always known what's up with that, man. They definitely know what's up with that. If there's any sport that's going to go first medical, it's going to be the NBA.
Yeah, that goes all the way back to Kareem and even before that, man. That's for sure.
It does.
All right, so we finally get to do some rock. I've been away for the last couple of Fridays. Tonight we got an episode of Norml Rocks with Herb Thrasher. What do we got, for a preview for tonight's show?
Yeah, tonight, well, a couple weeks ago before you went on your vacation and did all this stuff, in fact, I went and saw your pictures, and it was kind of funny, dude, because it's like you have 30 pictures, and 2 of them are the legal seminar, and the other 28 are you on the beach or in a restaurant or singing or drinking or something, so I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, for the first time ever doing one of these gigs, I might have spent maybe 3 minutes at the seminar. I mean, this was really actually a vacation for the first time. It was really awesome.
Yeah, good for you. You deserve it. But anyways, getting back, before that, you and I had gone to a show at the Roseland, and it was the Sword. And we just had a special night that night. They took care of us, and they let us onto their tour bus, and we got to interview them, and we recorded their whole show. And so we've kind of been working on that, and we're going to get to play them tonight. We're going to play the interview and a song from the show. And then we got yesterday one of our true heroes in the metal world and the pot smoking world, Dimebag Darrell, had passed away 7 years ago. And so we're going to have a couple songs, tribute from, Dimebag, Pantera, show some pictures or something. We'll find some kind of cool YouTube link or something and talk about him. And then just give some dates we got some upcoming events that we got to announce and talk about your trip maybe, and we'll get into some sports talk in the second hour tonight, so we'll have a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be Norml Rocks the Third Thrasher tonight, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. It's live right here from Rolla J Studios in Potland. We got the phone lines open too. You can call us when we're doing the live show as well. You can get your memories of Dimebag in if you want. That'll be awful cool. I'll tell you that Roseland show with the sword was really cool. It was such an authentic Portland thing because it was raining that night, and I had this steady drip of water dripping on me every now and then, drip, drip on my leg while we were watching the sword. I was like, yep, we're in Portland now.
You ended up jinxing me, man, and then it ended up dripping on me, and so you and I were kind of like just watching the sword in the rain.
Yeah, it was all right, man. So we got some sword here. People know this song, of course. We play it in it's the theme for the Weed Maps ad that we play here. We got some video for them. Let them know about the sword there, Herb.
Yeah, well, these guys are from Austin, Texas, and they're just a great band. They've had like 3 albums out now, and the album that you've kind of heard this song off of is Trey Brujas. The song is called Warp Riders, and that's the album Warp Riders. And they've been touring for a little while, and as I explained in the interview that we'll play tonight, that they're going to be working on some stuff here soon, and they've just been on tour for a long time. And this song, we played it, in fact, it was the first song that I did on the Rockin' Friday show. Right. And but this time I found the video, and so I thought it would be cool to play the official video. And we'll play that, and then tonight I'll have a different song, a couple songs from them. So it's all about the sword. These guys are true supporters of this cause, of the community, of rock. They're just cool dudes. They're down to earth, and you guys should definitely support the sword out there, man. Go check them out online. They have Facebook, MySpace, they're Twitter, so they're all out there, and they're out and about, and just check them out, man. There's not too many bands who support the stoner metal.
Yeah.
Better than the sword these days.
Yeah, and they were great guys on the bus to talk to, and really well spoken and very well informed on the issues, man. They were great interviews.
They were, and actually Kyle, the guitar player, had a couple of cool things to say about Norml. He'd had a little bit of experience, and he knew of Norml, and so Norml was a little bit personal to him. So that was kind of really cool to see and hear, and that was a little bit of that says something about the Texas Norml chapters out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's get to it. This is the sword on video here with Trace Brujas.
Turn it up.
From the falling on
You want a copy of that song for your iPod? Check out the Daily Toker Tunes at the Stash blog by surfing to stash.norml.org and choosing Media and then Toker Tunes from the main menu.
What makes something funny? How does humor impact health and psychological well-being? How can you incorporate humor into everyday life? A concise, reader-friendly introduction to an important but often underappreciated topic in modern psychology, Humor 101 explains the role of comedy, jokes, and wit in the sciences and discusses why they are so important to understand. Psychology professor Dr. Mitch Earlywine draws from his personal experiences in stand-up comedy to focus on how humor can regulate emotion, reduce anxiety, and diffuse tense situations, expose pretensions, build personal relationships, and much more. He irreverently debunks the pseudoscience on the topic of humor and leaves readers not only funnier, but better informed. It's part of the Psych 101 series from Springer Publishing, Humor 101 by Dr. Mitch Earlywine, Ph.D.
You're not going to amount to jack squat!
76% of Americans no longer support arresting and jailing marijuana smokers, and nearly as many support the medical patients having access to medical marijuana. And over 80% of our citizens now believe the war on drugs is an ineffective failure. So the question is, when will the government's misguided war on adult marijuana smokers finally end? When? Simple. When you and your like-minded friends, family, and coworkers get involved with an organization such as the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, also known as Norml. My name is Keith Stropp, and I founded the organization in 1970. Contact us at Norml, toll-free, 888-67-NORML, or by visiting the organization's up-to-date webpage at www.norml.org.
Legalization, decriminalization, lowest law enforcement priority, medical marijuana, ganja sacrament, consumer cannabis, industrial hemp. The world of marijuana law reform involves many different aspects of cannabis that interact nearly every public policy discussion in America, including healthcare, the economy, global climate change, law enforcement in prisons, immigration, religion, free speech, energy policy, and war. Now, we take a look at how re-legalizing marijuana will change the world in our Norml Show Live Cannabis Conversations.
This Friday, we get all sorts of great music. We just finished up with The Sword, and now we get to turn to a man featured in High Times Magazine and who's been a guest on our show before, Steve Caprio, a.k.a. Ominous Words. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. How you doing?
Good, great. You know, we played the song before with you and Thoughts Arising, and I forget the title off the top of my head.
Hotbox the Planet.
That's it, Hotbox the Planet. And we played that on the show before, and you wanted to come back on the show because apparently you're featured in High Times Magazine. You got some new stuff coming out. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, we actually have a new CD coming out, Blunts for Breakfast, and the cover artwork is done by Georgia Tunes. And the single, Hotbox the Planet, you know, it's been on the top 25 online radio charts for a while, peaked at number 6. And it recently came out on a Wu-Tang mixtape. It's doing pretty well. And then, so that'll come out in February, Blunts for Breakfast.
That's awesome. How's the reaction been from the High Times audience on the magazine feature?
Good. I'm actually, getting a lot of hits from all over. People downloading music. If you go to my website, you can download music for free. So, people have been doing that, and it's been real good.
Right on. You mentioned getting the cartoon from Georgia Tunes. I just happen to be wearing the Georgia Norml T-shirt today. Where are you working out of, though? What state you in?
I'm in California.
Okay, you're in
California.
Right on. Okay, just wanted to make sure about that. So, you got any tour dates coming up? You playing any festivals this year?
We're doing some stuff. I'm actually going to probably be at Mountain High Ski Resort, I believe, on the 16th with the Solomon Pro Snowboard team, and then I know we're putting some stuff together probably for the big industry show in March in Vegas, and I'm doing a record releases at the Detroit Bar in February in Orange County, and I'm going to be doing Big Bear and a couple other shows. Once this album gets released, then we'll be setting some stuff up as far as tour dates. But right now, just kind of some shows and trying to get this album done, and 2 other albums I'm working on. Another solo album, and then an album with Stigma One.
Oh, right on. I imagine you guys got to have like a Facebook or MySpace, someplace where people can get all this info.
Oh yeah. If you go to my website, Ominous Words, OMINOUS words.net, it's got a link to my Facebook, Twitter, everything, YouTube. We actually have a new music video coming out that we filmed for Hotbox the Planet that we filmed at the Kush Expo.
Oh, good.
Bruce Margolin, Pony Boy, they're all featured in it.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, you know what else I like? I like that when you picked the handle of Ominous Words, that you spelled it right. You didn't put a Z in it or some crap like that. Man, it makes it easier to Google. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. All the crazy spellings and yeah.
So you're based out of Cali, and so you got Prop 215, medical marijuana, everything's as they say, all good. You tour outside of California, especially when you go to non-medical states. Do you think like the fans in those states are more appreciative because they got less, or do the people in California dig you more because they know more about the cannabis stuff?
Well, in California, I think we're spoiled and we take it for granted. And when I go out of state, everybody wants to come to California, and they're definitely more into it. I think they're a little more passionate about it because they don't have what we have.
Yeah. I found the same thing. When I went to Atlanta for that Capitol Jam, it's just the different. I guess out here in Cali, you know how like you'll roll a J and you might get some flecks on your shirt and you just kind of brush it off. Right?
Right.
You go to Georgia and you do that and they're like, no! they're picking it with every little, bit they can get, man. So I totally understand that. And I wish more people in California and some of these West Coast states would, travel out of state more and get the feel for what it's like out there because like you say, it feels like people are kind of spoiled. But, coming up, you guys are going for a couple of, legalization initiatives. Have you heard much about that? You gotten involved in any of the, like, regulate marijuana like wine and those things?
Honestly, in the last month or so, I've been kind of locked in a room doing music.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna emerge, and then I'm gonna go. Hopefully, pretty soon, I'm gonna go be able to sit down with like Candace, OC, Norml, and a couple people and get caught up to date on what's going on, and be able to go out there and try and educate people on it, and actually do my part. Do more than just smoke weed on my couch, but actually try to make a difference.
Well, I think the music makes a difference, though. I've long since said, you look back to the '60s, the civil rights movement or the hippie flower power movement. They both had their music, the anthems that drove those protesters and those people fighting for their rights. And we're the same. I think in the cannabis community, we got people like you, and it spreads all genres, right? Country and rap and rock and all over the place. We got supporters, and we need our music. And so don't slight what you do because it's very important.
Right. No, I think that, eras are led by the music, whether it be the 70s or now, 2011 going on 12, like it's led by the music and the culture behind the music.
Yeah. Well, everybody check out Ominous Words on the web to get the information on the music, get downloads and such. We're going to go out with one of your tunes here that you sent to me, Smoke With Me. Tell us a little bit about it. Is there anybody guesting on the track? Anything we need to know?
No, just, my buddy made a beat, and he actually has a Tom Petty sample in there. Cinco made the beat, and I just went over there one night, heard it, and wrote. It's just a solo song I released. It's not on any albums.
All right.
You could actually, if you were to go to my website, it is available on iTunes and Napster and all that. It is for, but other than that, it's just a song I put together for what was going on at the time.
Right on. Well, this is
the marijuana community.
This is kind of an exclusive thing here on Norml Show Live. We'll play some solo Ominous Words. Here is Smoke With Me. Thanks so much, Steve. We'll talk to you again sometime.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Just like you, packing blocks and running for cops.
Speaking for the legalization of marijuana.
I smoke perks to get perpendicular with reality. Elevate gradually, casually. I actually stay lifted more than not. Fuck a cop. I got a pocket full of pot and a Rex to back it. I'm anti-government with unwarranted action. Criminalize the herb schedule 1 like acid and crack is contradicting the number 6630507 patent. Cannabinoids are magic. It's tragic how it's labeled a drug and dirty habit. I cry phoenix tears in remembrance of one nation willing to bleed. Trade 50 stars for 1 leaf. Red, white, and green. Hemp is God's gift. Addiction is disease, and they're just gaining off our lack of education. Fist up, blunt lit. My emperor wears no clothes, and like the high time staff, I stay stoned. Responsible smokers about to raise the stakes. Not all stoners follow fish concerts and tie-dye barefoot and playing hacky sack half-baked.
Speaking for the legalization of marijuana.
I know successful users and losers that don't use. It's better than coffee, tobacco, donuts, and booze. Ketchup's much worse, but it squirts at every meal. So what's the deal? Obama's bullshit and patients in jail for real. Planted seeds for fallen soldiers. Free Eddie left, Mark Emery and all the rest. It's time to stand, so let's. A patriot from Cali opposed to UN and feds that forgot their place to no longer work for the states. It's the new frontier, a green rush, smoke and air. We got a harvest for survival, opposition our rival. This is primal, smoke signals, raining seeds, brought an army to fight thieves like BP. I'm an anachronism, this is activism, a clear vision of wrong from right. Pass the bong, join the pipe, get minds right so life could thrive. Let it grow, grind tainer full of all greens. I pat him, sneaks in a beanie, looking smoke to see me. Legalize it.
Speaking for the legalization of marijuana. Speaking for the legalization of marijuana. I just want to say that a lot of you guys that don't think marijuana should be legalized while you're all fucked.
Been busted? Need a lawyer? Call the Norml Legal Committee for an attorney near you. Find one at norml.org. Remember, attorneys are cheaper than a lifelong criminal drug record.
It's that freedom. I'm free to do it.
You're listening to Norml's Daily Audio Stash.
Hear Marijuana Compassion and Common Sense with Lanny Swerdlow from Loma Linda, California, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific with replays at 2 a.m. Also, catch the morning replays every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific and the weekend replay every Saturday at 4 a.m. Pacific, right here on the Norml Network.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water? The most effective method for baking pot brownies? The best destinations for a ganja getaway? How to hide herb in your car? Whether to grow your own? How precisely to legalize it? Or how something as wonderful as marijuana ever got to be illegal in the first place? Finally, you can find all these answers and much more in the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook, featuring 420 things to do when you're stoned. Since 1974, High Times magazine has covered marijuana in all its aspects and wonders, from cultivation to legalization to the herb's enduring and exalted place in popular culture. Packed with inside information, the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook rolls all of this collected wisdom together into a single indispensable ganja guide, including an entertaining look at marijuana's history, profiles of herb-friendly travel destinations and festivals, favorite potluck recipes from the High Times staff, smoking skills, advocacy and activism, essential marijuana movies and songs, profiles of famous cannabis strains, comprehensive growing information, celebrity endorsements, and much more. This is truly, finally, the ultimate guide to green living.
This is Norml Show Live.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years. They've got mandatory sentences, and these judges just say, they throw up their hands and say, nothing we can do is mandatory sentences. We've got to take a look at what we're considering crimes.
When the Reverend Pat Robertson from television's The 700 Club
Criminalizing marijuana, criminalizing the possession of a few ounces of pot and that kind of thing. I mean, it's just...
makes more sense on the marijuana issue than the President, the Congress, and the Supreme Court.
It's costing us a fortune, and it's ruining young people. The young people go into prisons, they come out, they go in as youths, and they come out as hardened criminals, and that's not a good thing.
You know we're winning.
All right, guys, here we go. We got the top 6 answers on the board. Name something that gets passed around. Chris.
A joint.
A joint?
This is Norml Show Live, where a joint is always the right answer.
Now, Chris, I don't know what 100 people you thought we were talking to at some nice little mall across good old America, but I'm pretty sure the people didn't tell the survey people, hey, an illegal drug. Let's turn around and see how many weed heads are out there with Chris. A joint!
Since 1970, Norml has been fighting for the rights of all adults who use cannabis responsibly. Since 1974, High Times magazine has been the chronicle of the cannabis community. Every second Friday of the month, we bring that working relationship to the Norml Daily Audio Stash with our special guest, Senior Editor Dave Bienenstock, author of the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook, for our exclusive monthly preview of this month's issue of High Times. All right, everybody, welcome back. I've been trying to get David Bienenstock on the line. He is at the conference of the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. I talked to him earlier this morning, and he said he would try to get out of the conference if he could. It appears that he wasn't able to. So I'll try to give you the update on what's happening with High Times. And, of course, the big news that we need to get across here is the latest edition, or the latest incarnation of the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup, which is going to be taking place in Los Angeles. The Los Angeles High Times Medical Cannabis Cup will take place on February 11th and 12th. So you want to mark your calendars now, February 11th and 12th for the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. Also, the new High Times magazine is out, January 2012. Pot's Greatest Hits is the cover, so I encourage you to check that out. Also, High Times Medical Cannabis Quarterly should be available in your local medical marijuana state. And, of course, Free Weed with Danny Danko is still podcasting. We should have a new episode next week. I'm going to take a quick break to put some stuff together to continue doing the show. Just having a little trouble here without someone on the line. So give me just a moment. We'll be right back with maybe a little mini rant. This is Norml Show Live.
Was a hell of a party, at least what I can recall. There was Robbie, Ricky, and Harley, and some dude nobody knew at all. That dude, he pulled out a baggie, said, hey, who wants to get high? But every time that joint went around, I just let it pass by. Tell you firsthand, you don't need to take a toke, 'cause you can get high on secondhand smoke.
All right, we managed to get Dave on the line. He's calling us there. Dave, are you available?
I am available. I'm actually at the MAPS 25th anniversary conference.
All right. Excellent. We've made it. Okay, so I was breaking the news to the folks about what's coming up for Los Angeles with the new High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. Can you give us some details?
We're really excited to be our time in Los Angeles. We've had similar events in San Francisco and Denver and Detroit, and obviously LA is a fantastic place, and it hasn't been an oversight. We've just been working our way through the country. So we're definitely, ready to go into the land of Kush, and also, one of the biggest places for medical marijuana, and we want to just have a good event. Always, we have everything from our panel discussions to all our vendors, parties at night. So we really try to make it an informative event, but it's also, it's a celebratory event.
Absolutely. Now, do you have a venue locked down?
It is, I think what people could probably do is go to medcancup.com. I'm pretty sure that we are finalized with the venue, but I don't want to say it until everything is signed and everything like that.
Okay, understandable. Now,
it will be in downtown Los Angeles.
Downtown somewhere, I know. Okay. Now, speaking of cannabis cups, we broke in during my vacation on the day before Thanksgiving because of the news of the Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam, the granddaddy of them all, getting raided by the Dutch authorities. What can you tell us about that situation there?
Well, I think the best thing that I could tell people is, nobody who attended the event was arrested, but there was certainly a concern at the expo that Dutch law enforcement came in to basically make sure that the vendors were complying with the amounts of cannabis they're allowed to have. So, it's the unfortunate situations that happened, but the event on the next day, the expo was reopened. We had our award ceremony, and nobody who came to the event was arrested or in any way put through any kind of enforcement situation.
That's good.
And people really want to read it. What's happening is, there is a new government in the Netherlands, and they are what we would call here a right-wing style government. So I think this has to do with some larger political issues in the country. I don't think that this has to do with people in the Netherlands haven't changed their mind about marijuana, but they changed their government. And so that's about the situation over there. But, we're definitely keeping an eye on it. We will definitely be reporting on how this will or won't affect coffee shops for the time they're open in Amsterdam to everyone, and that'll be for at least a year.
Good.
We really couldn't believe longer.
You're breaking up just a little bit, Danny, but David, excuse me. So used to talking to Danny, David, but we're getting most of that. But bottom line is there going to be any impact on next year's 25th anniversary Cannabis Cup?
We are all systems go.
Great. That is fantastic to hear. All right. I was also telling folks that they can get the latest edition of High Times. The January 2012 edition is on sale now. It says Pot's Greatest Hits at the top of it. What are you focusing on in this issue?
It's really, it's coming. It's our kind of equivalent of a year-end issue, even though it's January on the cover. It comes into the year. And so, really, it's a compendium of the highs and lows, shall we say. Mostly focusing on the highs since we are High Times. But, you got everything there from, our most effective activities of the year to the best new strain to all kinds of stuff. And people can also actually win the next year's Cannabis Cup by identifying everyone on the cover. There's a really beautiful illustration of about 90 people that represent all aspects of cannabis, from celebrities to activists, to growers, and it's definitely a fun way to spend your session just looking at the cover and trying to name everybody, and you can win a nice trip to the Cannabis Cup doing that.
Yeah, it's almost like a Where's Waldo cover here. Is Waldo on there somewhere?
We debated whether or not Waldo would go on there. I can't say if he's on there or not.
Okay. Hey,
but I can say there was an actual discussion.
Okay. So we've had High Times Medical Cannabis Cups in L.A., San Francisco, Denver, and Detroit. Can those other cities expect High Times to be coming back again in 2012?
Yes, this will be our first time in Los Angeles. But yes, we're planning to come back wherever we've been. We've had such a great time doing them, and working on a magazine is almost it's like a desktop. So for to happen. The people who
All right, Dave. Hey, you're breaking up too much for us to catch you, but I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. We'll be back in touch with you next month. Encourage everyone to check out hightimes.com and the High Times Medical Cannabis Quarterly, where it's available. Just look up on hightimes.com for all the information you need. And Dave Bienenstock, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. Sorry about the connection there.
That's okay. Enjoy the conference, man. I totally understand, and I just appreciate you taking time away even to be on the show. I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. Take care, Chris.
All right. That's it for our show today, and that High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in Los Angeles, by the way, to remind you again, the dates on that, February 11th and 12th, and we are making the arrangements to have Norml Show Live streaming from the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. We'll be streaming all of the panels, as well as doing my patented remote walk-arounds, so you can see what the event looks like. We'll have interviews with many of the folks from High Times, I'm sure, and many of the other activists that we'll meet while we're there in Los Angeles. So, again, stay tuned on live.norml.org when we get around to February 11th and 12th, and you can be a part of that. It's a lot of fun. We'll also be recording it, so you'll be able to catch some of the video highlights on our live.norml.org channel right out there on Ustream. Well, that music means it's time to go, folks. We've run out of this first hour. For those of you listening on the podcast, that's all. For those of you listening live at the 4 Eastern and 1 Pacific hour, we're going to move into Toker Talk Radio here, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern, and take your calls at 971-533-7111. I'm Radical Russ. For everyone here at the Norml Foundation, thanks for listening, and do your part. Get involved. Join Norml. Join any organization involved in securing our rights to use this wonderful cannabis plant. I'd prefer it was Norml, but as long as you're involved, I'm cool with it. For everyone here, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Take it on one more time. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you